Good evening, MFHL fans, and welcome to this week's edition of the MFHL Podcast. Here on GSHOW Productions, got something wet on my lip. It's weird. I'm going to check that once we get later on here in this episode, once we actually started. But yeah, to start things off, just want to welcome you all in. Welcome to episode 10 on another Wednesday night. I'm your host, Graham, the GSHOW Forsyth. This edition of the MFHL Podcast is presented by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs here in Manitoba. Be sure to visit their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today, as well as check out their website at MakeCanadaFasteners.shop. We're brought to you by Terrico, supporting Manitoba producers, or serving Manitoba producers, that is, for over 80 years in the agricultural industry. Find out why Manitoba producers trust Terrico so much. Be sure to check out their website to find out why. Terrico.ca. And then to goaltenders, we're also brought to you by them. Your goalie's personal video review service. Be sure to check out their website at GordyTumilsonGoalies.ca to see what all the fuss is about. The one-on-one Zoom video goaltending service, which, like I always say, pretty darn cool, pretty darn special what Gordy Tumilson is doing over there. But as for the MFHL, a lot has happened in the past little bit in this league. Lots of games were played this past week, and to get to them now, it started off with the game that was broadcasted on MFHL Game Day here on GSHOW.CA on GSHOW Productions last Wednesday. It was the Interlake Lightning coming back and upsetting the Winnipeg Ice in that third period. As you can see, they're scoring two unanswered back-to-back, both on the power play. The Westman Wildcats also taking care of business last Wednesday night with a 5-0 win over the Central Plains Capitals. Then there weren't any games until Saturday and Sunday, but it was jam-packed. As you can see there in the Winnipeg Ice, Winnipeg Avros, all-city rivalry. It was 2-1 for the Winnipeg Ice, with proceeds in that game going to a wonderful cause, to the Children's Rehabilitation Foundation. Congratulations to the Winnipeg Ice, the Winnipeg Avros, and each team there that supported Mike Jarrell of Game Time TV and the cause that they were raising money for, which was fantastic. But yeah, to the rest of the action, the Eastman Selects getting a win on Saturday, Westman getting another win on Saturday, and Yellowhead doing the same on Sunday. And a game that was seen here on GSHOW Productions as well. The Eastman Selects coming back, tying things up late in the third, and winning an OT over the Winnipeg Ice for their first win in that season series. They had a chance to move into second place, but didn't, with Yellowhead and Westman winning, and the Winnipeg Avros getting into the win column again against the Central Plains Capitals. Moving on to the standings, the Winnipeg Ice, to show you guys here, 17-3-3. The gap between them and second place has closed just a bit. They have a game in hand still on the Yellowhead Chiefs, and as well as the Westman Wildcats, the Eastman Selects too, and really all the teams in the league except for the Interlake Lightning. But for the Winnipeg Ice, they're only 4 points up on the Yellowhead Chiefs and the Wildcats in the standings. None of these teams will be in action this weekend coming up, or this week coming up, since they will be playing in a tournament, and one of those players that will be playing in her first ever sports school tournament will be Chloé Nicolas. Rookie forward for the Winnipeg Ice, leads the league in assists at this point with 22. I had a chance to have Chloé on to ask her about what the rookie season's been like for her so far, the experience with the Winnipeg Ice culture, and talking about other stuff too, about what's coming up and this past weekend of play where the Ice went 1-2. You're watching the MFHL Podcast here on GSHOW Productions, brought to you by Make Canada Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and goaltenders Chloé Nicolas coming on the show to join me right now. Number 6 of the Winnipeg Ice. It's rookie forward for the Winnipeg Ice, Chloé Nicolas, joining this edition of the MFHL Podcast. Chloé is the assist leader in the MFHL, as we've been documenting throughout these past weeks here on the podcast. Chloé, you've had so much success so far with this Winnipeg Ice team. I'm assuming that things have been going pretty damn well for you in your first year with this team.
Yeah, definitely. I think everyone's doing a great job, right? I think the 06s really did a good job at including everyone, even the 07s, right? I think the team chemistry is there. It's definitely a very good year. And I think this season has been going really well so far.
For you, from a rookie perspective side of things, like you just said, the '06 is welcoming, the rookies in like
Mhm.
yourself and the rest. Was that from the very start that you noticed that it was so welcoming, that environment?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of rookies on the team this year, right? And I think the 06s did a good job, and even the 07s, right, that are returning, even if it's just talking to us at practices, making us feel welcome, explaining to us how the team like works and like what we do here. I think they did a really good job.
For yourself, you've been able to showcase your playmaking ability this season, as well as being able to put 5 goals in the back of the net in regular season play. Can you talk about your skill set and how it's been able to help you translate to the play style, the playing level in the MFHL?
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely from U15 AA to U18 AAA, I think there's a big difference. But I think that I'm surrounded right by natural goal scorers like Steph, and even everyone else on our team is able to score when time comes down to it. And I think even if I'll just like see Steph on the wing and I'll just hit her with a pass, I think that works really well. The chemistry is there, definitely.
Yeah, and it's been a fun duo to watch this season, yourself and Stephanie, when you two have been playing together. But recently, you two have been split up on a line you've been playing with Carvalho, mainly in the past little while. Talk about what that's been like, though, being able to play with Stephanie for the time you've been able to so far this year.
Yeah, I think it's been great. She's always like scoring goals, right? So even and she's always calling for the puck. So if I'll see her, I'll try and hit her with a pass. And even her, she's great. As much as she's good at scoring goals, she's also great at passing. So if she'll see me or like even the defense that are open, she'll definitely pass us the puck too. So it's been great.
And like I said, you've been switched off of a line with her at this point. But how much do you feel like that says about, Eugene Kaminsky's confidence in you and Stephanie to be able to break you two up to spread out some more offense?
Yeah, I definitely think as much as me and Steph work well together, my new line mates are Izzy Man and Annika Russell. And I think we work great together well as well. Me and Izzy, I think we have great chemistry as well, even in practice, in the drills. I think it's been flowing. So I think this upcoming weekend, I think we could definitely produce something together there.
And yeah, we'll get into that upcoming weekend near the end of this interview here, Chloe. But talking about some past stuff now, you girls had
Mhm.
a chance to go out to Florida to Fort Lauderdale to compete against teams there. It seemed like a fun family trip, especially with the ice, including the parents and any family to come. Talk about that experience. What it was like in your first year with the ice, being able to travel to the States and experience something like that.
Yeah, I think it was great. Just being in Florida, right? It was great, but also focusing on the hockey there. There was a great level of competition. I think we managed to win games by quite a bit, but then the last one against Florida Alliance, right? It was definitely a tough one and a very good challenge for us. We tied 2-2, I think. Right, we just battled till the end, and unfortunately, we weren't able to make it to the finals due to our flight. But I think it would have been great if we could have. But yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, reasons that you girls couldn't control that didn't allow to potentially compete in the finals there. But like you said, being able to play against different competition, how huge is that to be able to come back to Manitoba, even though it's a bit of a different game in the States, to take some positives from that and bring them back to the city with you girls?
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes you'll see the refs in the States let more penalties go, right? It's a little more physical sometimes. And I think it's great. It's a great challenge for us to then bring that back to Manitoba and try and be more physical in the league.
Yeah, and that's huge too because once playoffs come, refs are gonna let some more stuff go. So great that
Mhm.
you guys have had a chance to get accustomed to that early. But the U13 Saints, this team had a chance to join them in a joint practice. You've been able to play with the U15 Saints, but how cool is that to be able to be like mentors for the day and to be able to work with, the younger group of girls out there?
Yeah, so I was unable to make that session, but I think it's great that our team is able to be role models for the younger girls. Because definitely when I was at that age, I was looking up to the girls on the ice. Even last year, right? It's always a great experience to have them come out and show us what they can do.
Yeah, and it's fantastic too because it's such a tight community, especially in the female side of the
For
game.
sure.
And it's great to see these young girls be able to look at the older girls as role models out there in the Winnipeg Ice, of course. The rest of the team, even though, like you said, you weren't there, but you were there for this past weekend. 1-2, two losses to, of course, the Interlake Lightning on the Wednesday, then 2-1 loss in OT to the Selects this past Sunday. Two games where you girls had a 1-goal lead, but ended up giving it up. As good as this team's been this season, does this still bring, questions into this team still trying to learn how to play with the lead and to close things off here late in the year?
Yeah, definitely. I think every team in the league is at this like very good. I think any team is able to beat any team if they bring out a good game. Definitely, it was a tough challenge against Interlake and Eastman, right? We can see that they really want to beat us, especially when you're in first place, right? There's more of a pressure that like teams really want to beat you, and I think that if we don't bring our best game and we don't play a full 60 minutes, right, teams will be able to catch up to us.
Do you feel as younger players, especially like you said, with having a good amount of rookies on this year's team, that moments like this are key at this point, especially with playoffs coming up to go
Mhm.
through this and learning how it feels?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great learning experience. Right now, we know that like teams are out to get us, and right, any team is wanting to beat us, and I think we just have to show up and play our hardest every single game, and work as a team and build off that, especially for playoffs coming up.
Well, this Winnipeg Ice team won't be back in action in terms of MFHL regular season play, as well as the rest of the league until next week, when this team will be back in action against the Interlake Lightning. But coming up, playing in a sports school tournament at the Hockey for All Center, playing against once again teams that this team hasn't faced off against this year. How excited are you and the rest of the girls for this upcoming annual tournament?
Yeah, I think we're really excited, especially to play like teams like Rink Hockey Academy and even like Rocky Mountain Raiders that we haven't faced yet, and even play Pembina Valley again. I think those three games will definitely be a challenge for us, and I think we're gonna have to show up and work as a team to really show what we can do.
How is this team going to be preparing for the Friday set of games, which is going to be a back-to-back early morning game and then an early evening game against the Northern Capitals?
Yeah, for sure. I think getting a good night of sleep will be key. And then, right, even doing a good cool down after the game on Thursday night, and then even after the game on Friday morning, and just really be stretching so that we can have gain our legs back by the second game.
Well, best of luck to you and the rest of the team in tomorrow's opening game against RHA at noon, Chloe. And excited to see what this Winnipeg Ice team can do as this regular season comes to an end to see if this team can solidify first place as things roll along here. Thanks for coming on and enjoy the rest of the season, you and the rest of the team.
Thank you.
And Chloé Nicolas, as mentioned, 22 assists in 22 games played, 5 goals for 27 points. She leads all players in the MFHL in this stat category in a long list here, as you can see, a 5-way tie for fourth on this list, as you can see there. But yeah, in terms of just overall statistics with goals and assists, Nicholas and Pierre, two rookies, along with Celine Wozny, so 3 rookies there, tied for second in the league in points. It's going to be a fun race to see who wins Rookie of the Year this year in the MFHL. And for these teams, as mentioned, all the teams in the MFHL will have this week off. It's going to be an off week. 5 teams are going to be competing in the Female World Sports School Challenge. at the Hockey for All Center. Ice Wave Media is going to be taking all the photography, so should be a fantastic event put on. They do some wonderful work. We've even used some here on GSHOW Productions, so shout out to them for landing this event and partnering with the Female Sports School Challenge. And yeah, for the Winnipeg Ice, they kick things off tomorrow against the Rink Hockey Academy, a double-header coming up on Friday. And another thing, gotta mention it, gotta show it for this Winnipeg Ice team. They were able to have a chance to help the U13 Saints. Well, not help them, but do a joint practice with them, as you can see right here as well. Stephanie Jacob and Caitlin Moffat talking to these young bucks. Great to see this Winnipeg Ice team able to mentor and represent the community in a positive way. And gotta shout out Eugene Kaminsky here, the beauty picture that was taken of him shown on the Winnipeg Ice social media, reposted by the MFHL. Next is where we found it here on GSHOW Productions. But we are going to be right back. Going to be showing you guys some highlights next of how things went down for the Ice to blow those two games last week that were seen on GSHOW.CA against the Interlake Lightning and the Eastman Selects. Stay tuned to find out how those teams were able to come back against the first place Ice. Coming up here on the MFHL Podcast for episode 10, brought to you by McCann Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. Welcome back to the MFHL Podcast, brought to you by McCann Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. McCann Fasteners and Tools, your one-stop shop for all your industrial needs. Be sure to check out their store locations in Brandon and Winnipeg today. Also check out their website at McCannFasteners.shop to see all their great products. But the Winnipeg Ice, a team that has not been off to the same dominant start as they were in 2023 to start off 2024. It's been close losses that have plagued this team so far, and that was no different this past week in the MFHL. Last Wednesday, it started off with the Winnipeg Ice going up against the Interlake Lightning, a team that is on pace and has already broken their franchise record for wins in a single season. And this year, Interlake is proven once again not only to be a thorn in the side to the top teams, but also giving them a run for their money and posing as a threat to beat them as well. Well, Interlake was that exact threat this past weekend, or this past week, last Wednesday, at the Hockey for All Center. And it started off in the second period with the scoring. Texiera going to pick off that pass, that clearing attempt from Barilski, the captain of the Interlake Lightning. After a scoreless first opening 20 minutes, the Ice finally getting on the boards to break the deadlock. But later on, Thiessen making some nice moves, weaving through the neutral zone, finally getting into the offensive zone, and drawing a penalty against the Winnipeg Ice, who were the most disciplined team coming into that game. So with the Lightning on the power play, they're able to enter the zone, and it would be played up to Rigaud, where she would release it from the point. This one getting by might have been deflected, as Interlake would tie things up at 1 apiece in the third period. Shortly later in the third period of action, there's going to be another penalty drawn. Stephanie Jacob hauling down a Interlake Lightning player. She'd be going to the box for the next 2 minutes, where Interlake with another chance against a Winnipeg Ice team that, of course, on the misadvantage.
Leaving it for a teammate. Up to Rigaud. Her shot deflected but couldn't get in on net. 30 seconds remaining now. Delaney Rigaud scores!
And Delaney Rigo able to put it away, circling by from the corner, able to get to the net and put away the rebound on Grunwald. The Ice pressing late in the dying seconds, but unable to get the puck on net. It gets cleared out. Compty try getting it down to potentially offer up one more chance for the Ice, but this Interlake Lightning team, with one of the biggest upsets that they've had in franchise history, taking down the Winnipeg Ice by a score of 2-1 last week at the Hockey for All Center in a tenacious, hard-fought victory from them, where they never said quit and kept skating to, draw the penalties they did. Kept pushing, kept pressing the Winnipeg Ice, and even though this Winnipeg Ice was leading in the shot category and had most of the offensive zone time, Jane Sugimoto was fantastic in net. We gave her player of the game last week in that game. It was phenomenal to see her fighting through traffic to make the saves that she was making, and they were opportunistic. You got to give them credit capitalizing against the Winnipeg Ice team that, like I said, the most disciplined team coming into that game, and still they're going to be for a while because there's such a gap from them to the next team, which is the Interlake Lightning in terms of least penalties in the MFHL. But to see the emotion from that Interlake Lightning team after that win, and to hear them after the game too, if you were there, you were bearing witness to a bunch of Interlake Lightning players singing Let It Go from Frozen. But I wanted to show the clip, didn't end up getting in here, but Tatiana Raffner, head coach of this Interlake Lightning team, seeing her shed tears from a distance and hugging her players was a special moment after the game, especially for those veterans that have been there and have been through the struggles. To finally see them having a season like this, where they are sixth place in the MFHL standings, with a good gap ahead of them and Pembina Valley at this point with 2 games in hand. What a season it truly has been for this Interlake Lightning team, as well for the Eastman Selects, a team that's been able to win an MFHL championship before, going on a run back in, I believe it was 2017-18, but not usually a team that is within the top 4 in the MFHL standings. Traditionally, that is. Well, this year, it's been different, and they, too, have been giving the top teams in the league, a run for their money, but they hadn't beaten the Winnipeg Ice yet heading into Sunday's matchup, and with a chance to add more pressure and less gap between them and the teams in front of them, Eastman was looking for a big win in Winnipeg this past Sunday to draw closer to teams like the Westman Wildcats and the Yellowhead Chiefs. But it started off, of course, Eastman 0-3 in the season series against the Ice. All games have been by 1 goal. Annika Russell with some nifty work started things off in this first period, splitting the deed there. Nice save by Oriana Kennedy, but the Ice would keep it in. Compty finds Russell with a pass, and she slides that in past Kennedy with the backhand. And in this game for the Winnipeg Ice, a huge theme for most of it was them defending off the rush and really smothering anything that Eastman was trying to do, as you saw there by Ginger Fast trying to maneuver by. I believe this is Fast again here, who tries to get by Meg Farmer, but Meg Farmer playing a good gap again, and great support from this Ice team. Really no high danger chances off of the rush until this moment in the game.
Man leaves it for Chloé Nicolas, but that drop unsuccessful as it's Ginger Fast coming down the right side, goes inside outside, Fast to the net, rebound there, shot, oh, puck stays out somehow to Chloé Carriano, scores!
And what a moment for the Eastman Selects, able to tie it up, and this game would go to overtime, where almost with under 2 minutes to play, Ginger Fast pickpocketing Annika Russell, but Grunwald able to stand tall and make the save. Still, the Selects would continue to pressure until they were able to strike gold.
Plate to Nolgren. Nolgren sends that to Lesage. Lesage, your shot scores!
To be honest, not sure why I used the terminology goal there, but they struck the goal of the Winnipeg Ice. Being able to send that shot past Bailey Grunwald was Cassidy Lesage to, of course, give Eastman their first win of the season over the Winnipeg Ice. Now the season series going to 1-3, and all the games still in that season series only being decided by one goal. It was the second overtime result of the season between these two teams as well. But for this Eastman Selects team, if we take a look at the standings once again, they're sitting pretty. They're right behind the Yellowhead Chiefs and Westman Wildcats as the season will be concluding shortly. February is when playoffs will be starting, about mid-February. So, not a lot of MFHL hockey left. The standings are kind of starting to solidify themselves. Like I said at the start of this episode, tight race right now, or I guess not a tight race, but the race at the top tightening up between the Ice and the Yellowhead Chiefs. And this past week in the MFHL, it was great to see the initiatives like Mike Gerald's Can Play classic that was put on, headlining it was the Winnipeg Avers and Winnipeg Ice raising money for the Children's Rehabilitation Foundation. But another great thing that has been started throughout the hockey community is Buddy Check for Jesse, and a bunch of teams in the MFHL were participating in it. The Winnipeg Avers were. It's where you put green stick tape on. It's an initiative for mental health that was started pre-2020, but teams do this every year on this week in January to show support for mental health. You're never alone. You're not alone. You always have people that care about you. And we all go through mental health struggles in some way. It's easier for some people to talk about it to others than for some people, right? So always be open-minded when talking to people. Always be supportive of each other, and know that you're not alone and you have people that care about you. And if you feel like you can talk to someone that is close to you, you feel like it's too hard, there are some great helplines, call lines that you can call. But great to see the Winnipeg Avros coming together to do this as a sisterhood, as a team, as one, in support for a great cause. We're going to take one last transition here before the closing of this episode. So second last transition of this edition of the MFHL podcast. Myself, Graham, the GSHOW Forsyth, will be back for some more updates from around the MFHL here on this Thursday night. Stick around, everybody. You're watching the MFHL podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to episode 10 here on GSHOW.CA and GSHOW Productions on YouTube, brought to you by McKenna Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. I had Chloé Nicolas on as the only guest in this week's episode. Was hoping to have Tatiana Raffner on of the Interlake Lightning, but haven't been able to get a hold with Interlake. They're a team that been jumping through some hoops to try to contact them. So, if anyone out there in Interlake, in their circle, or just knows how to get in contact with them, is watching this, hit us up in our DMs in one of our social media locations. Our handle is down in the description of this episode. But welcome back, everybody. We're in the middle of League Report here, going to continue it, and want to give a shout out to two players who we had a chance to see on GSHOW Productions shine this past Wednesday, or last week on Wednesday, since it is, of course, Wednesday tonight. But that is the player of the week and the goaltender of the week, both going to the Interlake Lightning. Congratulations to Veda Rigo, defenseman for this Interlake Lightning squad, who was huge in that victory against the Winnipeg Ice. Of course, her shot to the net ended up leading to that tying goal, where, of course, Interlake would end up taking that game in overtime. Veda Rigaud, of course, able to be a big contributor this season for the Interlake Lightning, the Glenlong Collegiate student with a big week this past week in the MFHL. And congratulations to Jane Sugimoto, who was fantastic against the Ice, stopping 41-42 shots. Last Wednesday, her and Rachel Halderson, one of the best goaltending duos in the MFHL this season, and showcasing how deep they are when Halderson isn't playing against those top teams. Sugimoto proving that she can be a difference maker. A .929 save percentage for her this season, 961 save percentage over this past weekend. But of course, no games this weekend coming up in the MFHL. It's the Female World Sports School Challenge at the Hockey for All Center. Of course, be sure to check out Ice Wave Media, Gersh Mandarel, and Ice Wave MB as well on X there, Gersh Mandarel. And Ice Wave Media on Instagram. Teams like the Winnipeg Ice are going to be competing against teams like the Rink Hockey Academy this weekend coming up, and that's what the Ice got on tap tomorrow coming up at noon to start their showcase challenge this year. But yeah, in terms of the stats in the MFHL, not much has changed from the last time, but in terms of the names, I guess things have been tightening up. We'll show you the assist once again in just a moment here, but in terms of the total stats, showing you this again, Stephanie Jacob well out in front still at 37 points in 22 games played. The most impressive part about this stat category here, besides Jacob, her huge lead, is the amount of rookies that are in here, man. Chloé Nicolas, Rio Pierre, and Celine Wozni, all rookies, tied for second in the league in points at 27. And Hannah Ray having some experience in there. Ivy Perkin, too, with 26 points each, with 24 games played. In terms of the goals in the MFHL, it's still a huge lead by Stephanie Jacob. I feel like, you know, as you folks know, this is pretty redundant at this point. I'd say it's safe to say, unless something crazy happens, she has the goal-scoring title on lock this year. Best player in the MFHL, well-deserved success she's been having this year. But Ivy Perkin and Dara Thompson, both neck and neck for second place. Perkin with the edge there, both with the same amount of games played. And then a four-way tie to round off this list, starting with Crossley, ending with Ray. Of course, showing you the assists again. Chloé Nicolas out in front by 3 on Wozni. Fellow rookie has 3 games in hand on her, so gonna most likely finish the season with the lead unless she goes cold and Wozni continues to heat up. Rio Pierre right behind her teammate in Wozni, and then drops off a bit there, as you can see. But as mentioned before, a 5-way tie there to round out the assist leaders in the MFHL. When talking about goaltending leaders, there's a new name on top. Danica Averill, 10 wins, 3 losses. One of those wins coming in OT, one of those losses coming in OT, but fantastic season for her. No shutouts, but a .962 save percentage, only a .199 goals against average. Laura Melissa still on this list in among the top, tied for the league lead in wins with 3 shutouts. Addison Tomes there too. Fantastic season that all of these goaltenders are having. Look at those save percentages. Fantastic numbers across the board. If you want more information to see all of the stats leaders there, in terms of the goalie stats as well as the player stats, the full schedule, scores, standings, and everything else, be sure to check out the MFHL's website at MFHLU18AAA.com. And speaking of this Westman Wildcats team, they're sure heating up, hey? A team that was middle of the pack for a while, now back near the top of the standings. of course, tied with the Yellowhead Chiefs for second place. The Avros are starting to win again. The Winnipeg Ice going through some challenges, going through some, a bit of adversity at this point in the season in terms of, continuing to figure out how to win or figuring out how to win these big games, these close games that they're going into. And every game for the rest of the year is going to be huge for this Winnipeg Ice team, for the rest of the teams in the MFHL. As playoffs will be starting shortly here. It'll be here before we know it. And it's kind of crazy because when we started broadcasting for MFHL Game Day, thought there would be a lot more games left. But then I forgot, at this point that is, and then I forgot that, it's already almost the end of January, and the season's almost over. There's no games, of course, as mentioned, coming up this weekend in the MFHL due to the Female Sports School Challenge going on. So we won't be back, and the league won't be back playing until Thursday next week at 8 p.m. Central Time, where the Winnipeg Ice will be taking on the Interlake Lightning at the Hockey for All Center. This game can be seen on GSHOW.CA. It'll be free to watch. It's brought to you by Make-Canada Fasteners and Tools, Terrico, and Goaltenders. Puck drop at 8 p.m. Pre-game show at 7:50. Might have interviews from coaches in that pre-game show. Gonna have graphics for sure to preview the game. We'll have, keys to the game, players to watch, all that great stuff. Maybe even going to give our predictions. Going to be exciting in a game where the Ice are going to be looking for some revenge, as Interlake, of course, beating them 2-1 most recently last Wednesday. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to be there, and can't wait to, have all of you tune in next Thursday night. We are going to go to one last commercial break here, folks, or one more transition, as I should say, as this show doesn't have commercials yet. Maybe at some point in the future, but myself, Graham the G Show Forsyth, will be back for some final words here on this Wednesday night for MFHL Podcast, episode number 10, brought to you by Goaltenders, Terrico, and Make-Canada Fasteners and Tools. Well, you made it to the end of this edition of the MFHL Podcast here on GSHOW.CA, on GSHOW Productions on YouTube. If you guys enjoyed this edition of the show, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can get episodes like this recommended to more people that may like episodes like this or content like this in the YouTube algorithm. And as well as turn on notifications allows you to know when future episodes will be coming out and when they release. We'll be back next Wednesday night for an all-new edition of the MFHL Podcast for episode 11. Check us out on social media as well as on our website at GSHOW.CA for all the information about that website. We'll have it listed on those places in terms of who the guests will be, who's going to be joining that show, and what the content will be like. Thank you to Chloé Nicolas for coming on and being the guest in tonight's episode. Thank you to you, the viewer, for tuning into this one. And thank you to Terrico, Goaltenders, and Make-Canada Fasteners and Tools for being the official sponsors of this week's episode. Can't wait to be back here next Wednesday, folks, to do it all again. Can't wait for MFHL Game Day next week. Kind of sad, even though we get a break this weekend, that there's going to be no MFHL League action. But best of luck to all 5 teams playing in the Female Sport World School Challenge. Can't wait to see all the teams back in action. And the Winnipeg Ice and Interlake Lightning, the Hockey for All Center next Thursday. But until next Wednesday, folks, for episode 11, when that time does come for the MFHL Podcast, I've been your host, Graham the G Show Forsyth, giving you the salute, peacing out, and saying so long till next week when we continue to showcase the best in Manitoba for female hockey. We'll see you then, folks. So long, and good night. Take care, everybody.